What's up, everybody? This is Alex Quin, and you're listening to the Hustle Inspires Hustle podcast. We're in Miami today with Stephanie and Viviana from Frost School of Music. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
You're going to have to bring that one a little closer. Yeah, there you go. What's up?
We got it.
We've been trying to get this going for some time, so
We have.
I appreciate both of you being here. It's an honor,
Yeah, it was meant to happen.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a good hair day for me, so.
Yeah, and I
excited.
like the fits. You guys are looking fly today. You guys
Yeah.
went all out.
Thank you.
I feel like we always do stuff together and our personalities always showing what we're wearing because it's completely always
Different.
the opposite.
Yeah.
You guys have a great chemistry, though. Like, it's super cool.
Yeah, we're a good team. We
Yeah.
try. Actually, we don't try, and that's what we're. A good
You don't
team.
try, and it's
Yeah.
natural.
Completely different, but we definitely complement.
How long
each
have you
other.
both known each other?
2 years.
2 years now?
Already. Can you
2
believe?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in on like what you guys are doing now, because that's kind of like the purpose of why we wanted to sit here and talk about what's going on. You guys are working at the Frost School of Music right now. That's UM.
Yeah, so we're at the Frost School of Music. It's a renowned music school. It's one of the best in the country. Actually, Billboard just put us as one of the top schools. We were there in an ad in Billboard magazine. So it's really cool to be part of that
Nice.
and educating the next generation. Viviana's actually a graduate from the Frost School of Music.
Woo.
Yeah?
Anybody
Yeah.
from the U? No? Okay. But yeah.
I would have loved to go to the U. Shit.
Yeah, so yeah, but we're on campus. Obviously it's a really cool spot being in Miami.
Yeah.
You see, I mean, everything from the palm trees to then people are jamming out, playing their instruments when
Yeah.
you're walking around. So it's really, if you love music, definitely being at a music school is really, it's really cool. I love it.
That kind of like takes you guys back to like when you first maybe fell in love with music, like when you first it first entered your life, and everybody has that passion. You guys are kind of like have your hand on the pulse, because if you've worked in the entertainment industry from like what's actually going on working with artists, but now you're kind of like working with people who are developing, so you guys have kind of like that filter right in between. You guys are seeing people right before they develop, and you're seeing them right after they develop.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's kind of how it is.
That's
right?
exactly what it is. And Viviana does social media, so I think she could talk about what it's like to be on both ends of putting content out there for
Yeah.
an established artist versus an up and coming, because we've also done that, and she can
Yeah.
tell you all about it. But also like somebody that's just starting out,
Right.
somebody that loves music, is developing themselves in their own right, whether it's a songwriter or they're like a music engineer or whatever. They're like trying to be innovative with their instrument. It's really, really cool. I fell in love with music through singing. So for
Okay, you
me,
sing.
it was, yeah, I do.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you don't. Okay. Anyways, I don't put it out
Now
there
everybody
like that
knows.
anymore. I don't put it out there
Secret's
like that
out.
anymore. I try to no, because when you're in the business, not always, everybody's always doing a little bit of both. Like if you're in the industry, you also can perform, and that's okay.
You could write, yeah, you could compose. Yeah.
And most people do have a bunch of things going on at the same time, and that's normal. So,
Right.
But sometimes also I felt like if I came on as like, oh, I'm a singer, they were like, oh,
Okay.
you're trying
All
to do
right.
that.
I see.
And I was serious about the business side. I went to school for it. I went to Berklee College of Music, which is Frost's competition.
know.
But like I went to school because I wanted to work in the music business, even
Right.
though I fell in love with music through singing, through song lyrics, actually, the way a song tells a story. And that's why I'm in marketing, because storytelling. And that's kind of how I ended up here.
Right.
I don't know if
Whereas
you wanna jump in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely opposite. I mean, I'm not musically inclined.
Yeah, you can pull it close. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
More closer.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
good. You're good. Yeah.
Now I
Get
feel like a
close with it.
singer. Okay.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm not a musician. I'm not musically inclined. I don't think so. I used to sing opera when I was little, but I think
Shit.
my love for music actually started in my upbringing, in my childhood. I was born in Puerto Rico, so a lot of music, a lot of cultures, a lot of stuff going on there. So I would see, my grandfather, he was part of a trio, so I was really exposed to, his musical styles and everything since I was little. My mom used to sing. My dad is a music fanatic, like oldies. So I think it all started from there. And when I was growing up, I would listen to these reggaeton artists. I would mention, Don Omar, Wisin y Yandel, Daddy Yankee, Plan B. And I would, listen to all these artists, and I would say like, wow, it's crazy to see that these people are where they are. They're so big, and I want to be part of that. I want to be
Right.
part of the success. So I actually wanted to like produce concerts. So that's kind of what I wanted to do in the music side. And then I pursued my master's at Frost School of Music. And I didn't know anything about music. But the great thing about me being there is that I learned so much without actually having that education that, you know, it brought me to where I am today. And I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. You know, there's so many things to do within music, right? Some people maybe aren't ready to be an artist right away. Learning the business side is the most important part, outside of the talent, right? Because you know, you can have a ton of talent, but you could just get into a really bad deal. You could find the wrong partners, the wrong people to support you. And then before you know it, you might be this huge superstar, but you might not even be satisfied with, you know, how you're operating your business, how you're making money. So it is very important that you approach both aspects of it, of understanding the creative side of music and why it's important. Also understanding the business side, which is, you know, I've done marketing for a lot of industries, a lot. Medical, it's different industries in e-commerce, construction, you name it, over the last 10 years of having my agency. But when I first came into like music marketing and I started to learn about it and still learning about it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. There's so many layers. There's so many levels to how people get paid and how things work out that people don't really fully understand how that shit fully works. And I think it's important that people go to school the way you guys both did, excel, and then actually apply those skill sets in the real world. And now you guys are back to it as well. So now you guys are being able to bring that experience that you had in the entertainment industry and bring it to people that are looking to grow there, like, and looking to enter the industry. I think that's beautiful.
For sure. I would say, you know, when I was growing up, yeah, I loved to sing and I loved music and I would listen to all types of things. I ended up working in the urban scene, which was not, I would say, my top, but I'm a music lover. So of course I was like, yeah, let's go. Where you hear Viviana and she's like, I know everybody and every single lyric. So it's interesting how, you know, just when you love what you do and you have that passion, which for us is music, and finding ways to combine other things that you enjoy doing. For you, it was concerts I've been planning. For me, it was the storytelling aspect. And I would say you're constantly learning. So it never stops. Whether you go to school, you don't go to, not everybody is able, I'm a first generation student, so not everybody has the knowledge to figure out how do you even go there? How do you pay for it? Like, how do you like find a thing that you're going to be passionate about? You're not just going for the sake of going. So I think for me, I literally Googled music business degree and then it came up.
Yeah.
And that's how I found it. And at the, I think I was like in my early 20s. I had just finished my undergrad. But it's really cool now to be at a school because you have all these like hungry, young, passionate kids. And they're not kids, but I guess now I call them kids, right? I'm not. Yeah.
I still felt like a kid up until like 2 years ago. So.
Oh, good.
I'm still a kid.
You're still growing and learning.
Please pass on that mentality because I feel everything hurts lately. Like I feel old.
Yeah, for real. I had 3 beers the other day and it was no knockout.
It takes a million years to recover now.
Yeah, no,
why?
I hear you. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's really cool to have worked in the industry, to also have done so many things because like you with marketing, one of the things that I love about marketing is that you can literally tap into any industry.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be in the music industry, and that's kind of like the one thing I'm like, music marketing is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, should I ever need to branch out, because I've branched out and worked in luxury, real estate, like banking, hospitality, whatever you can think of, I take all that knowledge and bring it back. So it's really cool to see how you can even do that outside of music and apply it. Because sometimes you're doing a cool event, a cool pop-up, and you're like collaborating with like the most random brand, but it made sense, right?
Makes sense.
So it's just a really cool experience. I think the important part for me is I'm passionate about it. There's a reason why I love music. There's a reason why I connect with marketing, because it's all about connecting at the end of the day with each other, and doing things differently because it's loud out there. Like, how do you get people to listen?
And the crazy part is, if you think about like probably our parents or grandparents love music. Everybody loves music, right? But back in that time, I guess before the internet and, you know, before the resources we have now, I guess it wasn't that easy to say, okay, I'm going to work in the music industry. I'm going to work with this label. I'm going to work with this artist. I'm going to work with this distributor. It was maybe a lot harder to get a hold of people back then. Now it's, with like LinkedIn is a great tool for people in the entertainment industry. Clubhouse is a great tool. Instagram, you're able to connect with people that you maybe never would have been able to connect with. So I feel like things move a lot faster now. And specifically for the market that we've all worked in before, which is the Latin market, right now it's, I would say, at its peak, which means that there's a lot of opportunity for many people to be able to jump into the industry from the composition side, content creators, photographers, music video directors. Like I've had Jesse Terrero on the podcast. I've had a bunch of people that have done a bunch of incredible things, and it's cool to see it, because when we were growing up, or at least in my experience when I was growing up, I was listening to hip hop most of the time. I was listening to R&B. I was listening to hip hop, rap. And everybody looked up to that. Now everybody is, looking up to on the Spanish side to a lot of the things that are going on. It's like, wow, like there could actually be development, and there is a space for people to be able to grow and draw inspiration from other genres for new genres to be created. And every day new genres are created. And it's important for people to continue to educate themselves. You guys graduated already. You guys are experts. You guys have actually put what you learn into practice, but it's important to continue to learn, because especially now in the music industry, things are moving really, really fast. The way, like when the switch from CDs to streaming was a really rough change for a lot of people, and a lot of people weren't able to adapt. Now we have a lot more things that are going on. Like before the podcast started, the three of us were briefly talking about ChatGPT, which is like a really hot topic right now. Artificial intelligence. It's pretty much a chat box. You tell the chat box what you want it to write for you. It could code a website for you. It could write a poem for you. It could write the opening scene to a movie for you. It could write a blog for you. But what happens when you tell it to write lyrics for you? Or what happens with the artificial intelligence all of a sudden could generate its own voice? And it could have a high pitch, it could have a low pitch, it could be a singer, it could be a rapper, and all of a sudden you have digital artists that aren't even human beings making music. Something that could eventually be timeless. The inclusion of cryptocurrencies, smart contracts into the ways maybe people could receive royalty payments and all this stuff. Like, it's moving like this extremely fast, and those who do not keep up are going to fall behind. So it's really important to be able to continue to educate yourself. What do you guys think about that?
I'm gonna let Viviana talk
I don't
about
know
this. No,
if I'm excited or scared.
Right.
I feel the same way.
I don't know. I immediately thought of Black Mirror. It's the first thing that came into my mind. I'm like,
we've been in a Black Mirror episode for like the last 3 years, so
I feel that.
It's crazy to think. But I think something that you said really just resonated with marketing. I know that you mentioned that you love it. I love it too. You know, social media is a small part of marketing, but as you said, like education never stops. I feel like with marketing, I have the opportunity to learn things, but also unlearn things that are not working out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Key.
You pointed
You
at me. I'm like, what did I do?
You have to be able to unlearn sometimes.
Yeah. It might, I was just diving into the entertainment industry, and I would, come up with these ideas or strategies, and they wouldn't work out. And I would be frustrated at first. I'm like, oh my God, a lot of thought went into this and a lot of effort, but you know what? I think it's part of the process, and that's why it's so beautiful. Like, what works, what doesn't, keep growing, keep learning, keep experimenting, exploring. It's all part of it. So it's a wonderful cycle. And with the AI and all that jazz that is really trending, a couple of years back, I remember when it's a creator called Lil Miquela, and she was a digital AI artist and model and influencer. And I remember that it was the hot topic of that time. I don't remember if it was the 2019, but I thought it was really interesting to see how this person, she doesn't exist, but they give her life. She's an AI character, and you would look her up on Instagram. She has tons of followers, but she acts like a human. She has emotions, and she hangs out with friends, and she hangs out in real spaces. So you kind of think, okay, what's going to be the future? Are we going to, transition into everything's going to be like digital? Like, it's a little bit weird to think about, but honestly, it's
coming fast too. It's not like, it's going to be in 100 years and we don't have to worry about that because we're no longer going to be around. It's happening right now.
I feel like as a creative, that also, like, I want to have a balance of like, okay, that's amazing that we now have the technology and like everybody's into it. We're all like jumping on board. Not everybody, but most people. We went to South by Southwest, and every single panel, everything you could think of was about this.
Yeah.
And it was just like you're soaking it all up like a sponge. And every single networking session and at the bar, everybody's talking about it, which is really cool. Like, I don't think that that's something that, I don't know, 20 years ago you could be like, oh yeah, that's going to happen, you know? But I don't know, like it almost like as creatives, we've had such a hard time to like be paid for our art, right? And I speak not just for myself, but for artists. And now you have this nice bot or whatever
that even a person?
in 5 seconds is gonna write like, I don't know,
more than you could ever.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like it like hurts a little.
It does.
I'm here for it, but I don't know if I'm explaining, like, just like a nice balance of like.
I don't disagree
like
with what you're saying.
Human touch to it. I don't know.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, then what, right? What happens to us? Like,
Right.
we were talking about like when you go to Chase now, like they don't even have tellers anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're starting to see that more and more technology is taking over.
Yeah.
And then to what end? Right?
Right.
Maybe it could be
It's
a
not all
tool
bad.
that artists
I'm not,
could use,
like,
but we
against it.
need artists.
Right.
We need real artists too.
Yeah, and like just like the human experience. I feel like even with the pandemic, my fiance teaches kids, right? And he teaches music. So it was really hard to teach
that's
music. Cool. It is, yeah. We met through music. My whole life is just revolving around music.
Okay,
but
okay.
it was really interesting because he teaches band. So imagine learning band through Zoom.
No. That shit, the latency, that shit doesn't fly. Yeah, no. Yeah.
I was sitting in the other room trying to work, right? And
Yeah.
there's like a band made up with like 30 kids, and every single one of them has a different instrument. And now you're thrown with the pandemic via Zoom, and it's like, all right, now we're teaching band through Zoom.
Everybody playing the instrument at a shit show of an audio.
Loud. Oh
So
my
there's
God.
so many different things that not went wrong, but it's really interesting to look at. And the fact is, like, these kids were in the pandemic and they really didn't grow up. It's like
They froze in time a little bit.
stopped.
Yep.
So like now that they're back in the classroom, the mentality is still like they're still 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting. Like they didn't have those experiences, even though they were still communicating via Zoom. They didn't grow up.
Right.
So that was interesting to me. And then there's no way that you could experience music for kids, at least in the same way, like when they're in the room. So it's just like finding that balance for me. 'Cause
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm old fashioned. I don't know.
a little bit, but like me too. Me too.
You said a little bit.
But you have to stick sometimes to basics because basics work, right? There will be a time where, like, I mean, you guys seen it in the studio, so sometimes you don't even need instruments in the studio to make music,
100%.
and how beautiful is it to see
And
a live
that's
band?
okay.
That's
I love
okay.
it, yeah.
But I also, like, for example, last night I was at a show, at a Celtico in Miami. Artist called Chris Cass and an artist called Jay Moore were singing, and they were talking about how they were really enjoying being able to perform live for people because everybody's usually on a streaming platform and on YouTube and feeling the music, feeling the instruments, you love events, feeling the spectacle, the magic of what's going on. It's hard to match when you're just on the digital side, right?
We went South by Southwest was the first event I think that we went for work, experienced live music in all it was back. And I remember I was standing there and it was Stephanie.At.
Oh, yes.
I started crying, and it had nothing to do with the fact. It was more like being surrounded by people, hearing the music, like just experiencing live music again. And I wasn't even expecting, I did not think I was going to do that. But it was more like the emotion of being there. I was like, holy crap. I really just cried.
That was me at the Drake concert, like the last time he came to Miami. I got so fucked up. when he brought out Lil Wayne, I started crying.
No way. I would have cried too.
He brought out Khaled and Wade and they started doing like throwbacks. I just started bawling.
Yeah. But that's it. That's like the power of music when you're like, it just brings you, pulls you in. Like, I've cried at multiple concerts. That's totally normal. But it was more like, and I'm not against it. I know I just said I'm a little old fashioned, but when we went to South by Southwest, and if you haven't checked it out, definitely go, because I think it's
Never
like,
been.
Oh,
You have to go. Let's
I
go.
know what it is, but I've never had the chance to go.
Let's
Absolutely
go. It's in
have to.
March.
We
yeah,
out.
it's in March. It's in Austin. It's like fun.
I love Austin. Austin's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
I did a conference over there like 2 years ago. It was awesome. And it's grown so much since everything that's happened the last few years.
And they shut it down for this.
Yeah.
So every single venue is like a little showcase. It's super cool.
Yeah, this was this year that what you guys were talking about. Because
Yeah.
I believe I was keeping up with your accounts and I was seeing everything going on. That was super cool.
Definitely was spamming people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How, like, what is your most proud moment in music so far? You've done a lot of cool stuff. We'll go one by one so we could kind of like, so think about it.
You can go
Viviana.
first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm really big on giving back. So for me, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Whether it's personal or professional, I always find a way to connect that because that's really important to me. So I think this year I had various moments where I was able to do that. A lot of it was because I was in a workplace that really allowed and encouraged me to do that. I was at Rich Music, and they really did help me with something that it was very much my baby. It was the Woman
Up Project.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that shit.
Right.
I knew you were gonna say it. I knew it.
It was so
That was
cool.
badass. That was so cool.
Yeah. But it was about uplifting women in music and equality and but not only that, like mentorship and being each other's cheerleaders or whatever it may be. And yes, there's many things like that, but that was specific to Miami.
And it was with the school,
Latin.
with your school you attended.
And it was with my alma mater, Berkeley College of Music. Now I'm at Frost, But at the end of the day, for me, everything that I'm doing is about the next generation. Next generation of kids, of women, of whatever that we can positively influence through music. Like, what can we put together? And so I think a lot of my high moments this year had to do with that. The Woman Up was obviously like, oh my God, I loved it. It made me so happy to do that. But we also did things with kids, like mentoring programs. And I was actually able to connect. When I first moved to Miami, I worked for a music nonprofit. And I did marketing for them. But it was really cool because what they do is that they give free music education to kids in underserved communities in Miami. So they give them the instruments and they change their lives because these kids would never be able to afford music.
Wow.
So what I did is I created a brand partnership, right? Between the record label and the nonprofit, and the kids came and they went into the studio and they talked to the artists and they talked to us. And then none of them were excited about marketing, but they thought that the studios were really cool. And so from there, they were able to understand that they could have careers in music. And that to me was just so rewarding, because if I would have had that as a kid, I found my way anyways, because there's always a way. But I think when you expose them to the possibilities of you can do this for a job, like we had a content creator that only did TikTok. And I was like, that's a job. Like they're paying him to do that. And you guys could do that. So it was just like little things like that. That really
showing kids is a very important thing, because not every kid has the privilege of support from their family, friends, people around them, and
financially.
And I mean, we live in Miami. It's a beautiful city, but there's a lot of rough areas in Miami, and there's a lot of kids going through a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
And sometimes even down the road, across the bridge. And then if you bring these kids to a studio in their city where it's actually happening and you're showing them, you're just showing them a different side of life. There's more to the block. There's more to the shit going down in your hood. You could actually be here. Like you could have a career here in whatever you want. You like cameras. You like lighting. You want to be an audio engineer. Like whatever it is that you want to do, it's possible. I believe kids are very important, because you were a kid once and you got influenced by music, and look what you're doing now.
Right.
Like you now are empowering more kids.
Yeah.
And not only those little kids, but the older young kids we were talking about
those are the harder
in college too. Yeah,
college too. Like, and music is really, it's a small industry. Like I feel like when people say music business and you're like, oh my God, like it's quite small, and you find that this person, and then this person and this person, and then you're like, oh, I know, we've been talking in a conversation and the person.
It's a very small industry.
It's very small. So it's cool to give back, because you can also see it in that sense. I had a kid that was a student when I was working at the nonprofit, knew nothing about Miami. 2017, I was like, all right, oh my God, I just want to work in music. But that was my first experience, and I said yes because I believe in saying yes to experiences because it's full circle.
Mm-hmm.
He became my first intern years later when I was working at the record label. My first marketing intern, and he was a kid that was in the program that I saw grow up, and it was so weird, right? Because I was like, oh my God, I know you, right? And he reached out via LinkedIn. He's like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. And I was like, of course I remember you. And he's like, I would love to apply for the internship. And I was like, this is so wild. Like, it's such a small world. And it doesn't matter if you're a top level executive or a kid who's just trying to find that internship. He got the internship, and then he went on to go to Berklee College of Music with all the people that I knew. And it was just like this whole full circle of how our lives are connected through music and through our experiences.
You probably impacted his life in more ways than you even give yourself credit for.
Well, he impacted my life because that's also, I always say, like, it goes both ways. Now I'm mentoring people through the
you learn by teaching
Grammy-U program, and I have this intern who we went to the Recording Academy event last night.
Yeah. And
I met him in person because we've been having only Zoom calls. And it is so cool. He's really hustling. Hustle inspires. Like, he is hustling. He does not have any experience, and he has taken everything. He has said yes to everything, and now he's working for the Recording Academy.
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You know, bust your ass and soak it in.
Yeah.
Soak it in, because eventually you'll be a badass. At first, maybe you'll be shy asking questions or doing things the wrong way, but I mean, eventually you're just going to be like, you're going to have all the tools under your belt.
If you're good to people, right? You just got to be good to people, and that's it, because it's a small industry. But that was a really long answer. But short answer is every high this year has been about giving back for me, and I've been blessed and fortunate enough to do that in my various roles throughout music. So that's my answer.
You had more than enough time, all right? You got yours ready?
No, yes, I do. I really want to touch upon what you said, Stephanie, because, okay, so I am used to being like in the BTS side. Like, I'm very shy and I'm very introverted. So once I decided that I was going to pursue music, I didn't know who to look up to. I didn't know what to do. I was very lost. So I didn't know exactly what were the steps? Like, how do I do this, right? So I applied and came to Miami, and I was very much
from PR, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was very much to myself. I kept to myself, and I didn't know anybody. So I was very glad for, to be given the opportunity at the record label to, work and give back and support others. So I think one of the highlights that I would like to also mention is not only the Women Up Project, but the mentorship workshop that you organized with the Miami Music Project was very rewarding, because I didn't know what to do in terms of, okay, what are my next steps? But I was more than happy to help somebody that was just starting out. Even if just about learning TikTok, I was more than happy to provide that, knowledge and support and answering questions. And I was learning from them too. They were these amazing musicians, and this boy really just stole my heart. His name is Matthew. I really hope he sees this. He sat down and he told me, I play piano. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just see what you got. He literally played Bohemian Rhapsody on piano.
He went off.
I remember that Lenny Tavares even came out of the studio to check him out. I'm like,
nice.
Hey, it was that.
So I was learning from him and his experiences, and him from me. So it was very rewarding to be given that opportunity, because I didn't have that while I was growing up. And during the Women Up Project as well, I didn't know that, this whole world of women pursuing their dream and their passion. I now have mentors. You are my mentor, but I do have, other people that I can look up to and learn from, and just there's a space for everyone. You just have to go out there, and it sounds really cliche, and literally just do it yourself.
Ask questions.
You have to create
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk
There's people willing.
To people.
There's people willing to help. And I understand some people, especially in the entertainment industry, may be hesitant to get involved or do things because
100%.
People know it's a cutthroat industry, and it's hard to stay motivated sometimes with the things that go on in the industry. It's not easy, There could be misunderstandings. The way business deals are brought out, everybody wants to come out on top. It's also something that I don't know if they teach that in school, because I didn't go to school for music. I went to school for public relations and marketing, advertising, but emotional intelligence.
I always talk about that.
I
always talk about it.
That you can't overlook that. You can't
But they
overlook
don't
that.
teach you that.
Yeah.
Why?
You have to learn it in the streets.
Well, do they teach it in other
Or not
countries? I feel
why.
like they teach it in other countries.
I think they're starting to.
Right?
One of my best friends, she does this for a living. Like
Yeah.
she will go in and Fortune 500 companies and all this stuff, and she'll spend like a long time. Actually, it's not like a one meeting type of thing, and figure out this is what emotionally intelligent people do. Like this is how it's going to help you work better with people and understand yourself, and it's all tied to different things. She used to work on Wall Street, and so she was very much a hustler, and then she stepped away from that, moved to Spain, learned Spanish, and then created her own company coaching people and teaching them all about emotional intelligence. She's very successful, but I think in Europe, at least, because I lived over there too, they are definitely teaching that stuff. So I don't know how that's going to transition over here or how soon.
Hopefully,
but
sooner rather than later.
Hopefully now.
I've seen briefly. I'm not an expert in the topic, but I've seen. I believe I've seen from a little bit that I've read in Japan when they don't have like detention, but they have meditation for the kids. So when they do like stupid shit, like they make them reflect rather than just like punish them. And, hey, you're in trouble. Go look at the wall or like.
It's amazing.
I
would hate that. Like I would hate somebody.
To meditate?
Well, it's hard because I'm such a like.
You're always thinking about a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I'm always thinking. But I got this app and I was like, all right, it's called Calm.
Oh, yeah, I've used Calm.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. And I was like, okay, for 30 days, you're going to meditate. And it's actually really hard to take like 10 minutes to just slow down and sit and just not think about stuff. So I'm saying though, as a kid, I would have been like,
Yeah, because we grew up in the West.
Yeah.
Maybe, and like we think different. Maybe we're maybe a little bit more hyper, a little bit more crazy. Maybe if we were a little bit more calm and collected,
I think it'd be awesome.
We would think different, and then we wouldn't hurt each other so much. Maybe
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Because we do that. Like, and
100%.
when you add that to the entertainment industry, you are dealing with people who have fame, who have following, who are media outlets, who like you could easily get canceled or like publicly or like privately canceled because you lashed out or because you pissed the wrong person off.
Laughing and thinking about someone. So
well, we all have somebody in mind when we talk about shit like that, you know?
Yeah, no, but you know what? Also thinking about Latin, I feel like generational trauma in our Hispanic cultures is a thing. Like, did anybody see Encanto? That's what it was about. Does anybody like?
Yes, I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Anybody else think it was about that generational trauma with the grandma?
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, but it's good that it's being highlighted, you know?
Yeah.
Because that dictates how, like, you see patterns of behavior in different families. Sometimes, like, let's say I meet you and I think something about you, and then you invite me to your Christmas dinner, and now I see your family, and like, there's very similar ways of people reacting to certain things you start seeing, and it's not sometimes or most of the time it's not an individual thing, but it's like a tribe thing, a group thing, like and to eradicate those behaviors or to eradicate that way of being, it requires for the whole family to do work, and especially when you have newborns or new people, like new babies on the way. It's very important to be mindful of the things that you say or the things that you teach, because that's the next.
I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
People are like, I got engaged and they're like, oh my God, when are you having babies? I'm like, not yet.
No.
Not yet. But I think when and if I choose to do that in the future, I think that's one of the scariest things for me is what you just said, is you have to be so mindful when you're talking to kids or whoever.
Kids
really.
remember everything.
Like,
I don't know if you were.
like
I remember a lot of
sponge.
shit from when I was a little
I
kid
have
that
a
people would
great
say. And I was
memory.
like, oh shit, like
She
stayed
has
with
the
me.
memory of an elephant.
I do.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yes.
For better or worse.
Yeah. But you see, like, I'm glad we're touching on these topics because, like, you know, entertainment is cool. Oh, the shows, the concert, the famous people, this, that.
Let's talk about the other side.
How is everybody feeling? You know, how is everybody feeling, and how can we all evolve in a way of thinking that benefits? Because why? We talked about Latino right now because you guys have been part of the explosive Latino growth in the music industry. You guys were right in the middle of that shit as it like spiked globally, I believe, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Right. Now, how as a people can we evolve the way that we think and the way that we treat each other so we can maintain this beautiful opportunity that the world is giving us? And that opportunity is the chance of giving us their time so they could consume our content.
Right.
Our movies, right? Our music, our art, everything that we're creating now, like we are on the world stage. How are we going to let that develop? How are we going to let that, how are we going to allow that to maintain? You just mentioned Lenny Tavares, like, a minute ago. Lenny Tavares is a Spanish artist. He does R&B, he does rap, a little bit of trap. And he was talking the other day on a podcast. I think it was with Alofoque. I don't know who it was with. And he was talking about like, hey, like we are now in a really big place. Now, what is the next step? Like, how are we going to evolve this? Because we're in a place where you like before hip hop was like one of the top genres globally. Now, like the Latin urban scene is one of those, and we have a lot of opportunity right now. So what you guys are doing with Frost, what you've done with the partnerships with the record labels and the kids, that all plays a role in how this whole thing develops in the next 5 or 10 years. Does 100%. It die out? Does it grow? Does it evolve into other things now? Like now we're seeing a lot of growth in the Spanish rock, you know, like in industry, you know, so rock pop, hip hop pop, trap pop, reggaeton pop. Like now it's starting to branch out into so many things, and it's up to the leaders of these industries and the educators of these industries, which you guys are, to be able to dictate where the industry is going.
I mean, I think that ties perfectly into what marketing is at the end of the day. Your storytelling. So what stories are you going to tell?
Culture too. Yeah. Like also marketing the culture. Like for example, in my organization, in my companies, there is a work culture. There's a culture of respect. There's a culture of ethics, of values, of not ripping people off, of not disrespecting each other, not stepping on each other's toes, not talking shit, not allowing gossip. When you eradicate a lot of these behaviors in your core and you're very strict on how that is, like eventually people know that that's not allowed. And now you have something completely different working where people feel maybe fulfilled or they feel respected. They feel like they belong versus feeling like they're just doing a job and they don't know where their future lies, right?
I have a lot of stuff to say about that.
Yeah? Where do you want to
Say
start?
it. We're in a podcast. Hey.
No, you know what? I will say, as I have evolved as a professional, my first question at the end of an interview, and they're like, do you have any questions? I'm like, what's the culture like? That is literally not how much you're going to pay me or when can I start. None of like the other. My question is because the people we work with, you spend more time with them than your family. Like you're with these people.
They become your friends too.
And they become your friends. They become your
Look
family.
You
Yeah.
Hey.
We do this thing with the hey and that it's our
synchronized.
Yes.
I love
anyway. So I think culture is super important, whether it's professional environment, personal relationships, whatever you're saying, this is okay, this is not. That's a must. And I feel like a lot of issues sometimes stem from the fact of you didn't nip it in the butt when you could. And then it's just like the snowball effect of like
lingering around.
My God, how do you fix it now? It's too late.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you have to start all over from scratch.
Yeah.
I remember my friend speaking with her in Spain. Like I said, she goes into a lot of companies, and a lot of times it's about fixing culture. There's some issues going on, whatever it may be. And she says that a lot of times, you know, it starts at the hiring process. Like whoever is this person that's hiring, you have to hire people that are going to mesh. And they even have, the way she was explaining it to me is that they will have whoever they're considering interview with the team. So even though, yes, you have this decision maker, you put them in a room to see if they're vibing with the team because that's who they're going to work with. And I heard her, and when she said that, I was like, that is so freaking cool. Like, that makes total sense. So I think culture is really important. I think having leaders that acknowledge, like what you just said, for your company, what you're doing, I think that's key. But yeah, also ourselves. I think I am always really big on speaking my mind. And so if I see something's not okay, I will say something.
It's leadership qualities.
Depends who you're talking to, no?
Well, then they're not ready to be led, and they gotta go.
There you go. So that's you being a leader too.
It's not about you can't, because it's not fair to the rest of the team. Like think about a classroom, right? When you got, let's say, a high school classroom, 11th grade, there's 30 students. There's a great dynamic. But you guys don't remember when the new student came in, how the vibes changed? Maybe for good or for bad, but things were different. All of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, shit.
You're putting a new player in, so it's like...
Are they going to be a bad apple? Are they going to fuck everything up? Or are they going to encourage everybody? Or are they going to be a team player? Like, that's all very important because it's not fair to the other 30 kids that you're letting this person, you know, run amok. 100%. And then what happens to the rest of the people? So there has to be strict guidelines. You have to treat, like, as a leader, it's all about respect, treating people well, but people understanding that there's behavior that's not tolerated. And that is in marketing, in music, in sales, in whatever industry and whatever vertical you want to think about, that is one of the keys to success.
I would say, to add to that, the music and entertainment industries is known for hustle. That is like, they clap it. That's what you need to make it, all this stuff. And I think that is, I agree. You have to have this like hunger. Absolutely. But then there's also the other side of where is that line of health? Like not burning yourself out, not being toxic on your way to the top. I don't know, like there behind the hustle, there's like the less glamorous side of things that maybe we don't acknowledge because we're so busy clapping the hustle that we don't say, hey, this, just because you're hustling, this doesn't need to be a part of it. Like you can hustle and you can build others up and you can be a mentor and you can teach. You can do all these positive things without losing your hustle. Like hustle doesn't have to mean you're an asshole, for lack of better words. I don't know if I can say that here. Sorry.
No, of course, no. And it also doesn't have to mean that you're always working and you're not resting.
Exactly.
You could hustle hard during certain work hours and then give yourself some me time.
That's a big one.
You know?
Burnout is a big thing in the entertainment industry. There's so many different people at different levels of the career. And that was something that I realized during the Woman Up. Every single person that would talk to me about their struggles, it was like a lot of the similar things. I was like, holy crap. Like, why is it not being fixed?
And that affects how people interact with each other. Because if they're stressed out, underslept, their health is deteriorating, then they're antsy. They'll lash out at you. They'll yell at you. They'll ignore you. They can't listen. Like all these shit start happening.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know.
Oh. No, but I think I would like
That'd be cool if you guys had like a bubble like above your head that like kind of like
oh my
said
goodness.
the thoughts you guys
little,
both had.
Little 3 dots.
Mine would be 90% SpongeBob memes.
100%.
10% The Office.
She does the little bubbles, I guess, through WhatsApp.
You would get along with Michelle from my
stickers.
team. She loves The Office and
I know Michelle.
Michelle,
she got a new puppy. I saw it.
She did.
You see,
for her
small
mom.
world. I just said this.
Yeah.
No, the reason I'm looking at her is because Viviana and I have had very different work experiences, and I think that's also why we complement each other because we have very different perspectives, and also not so much in age, but experience-wise. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say you're younger, but you have a different perspective than me.
We are very different.
Maybe sometimes I'm like, but no. And she's like, well,
yeah, exactly. We're very different. And I think we're very big on not only being supportive and being understanding of the less glamorous side, but I think you and I are also very empathetic. I would like for the entertainment industry to also be more like that. I feel like, yes, like, okay, this person is, you know, not the same as me. Let me just put myself in their position and try to understand the situation or I don't know, just try to comprehend each other more instead of fighting or I don't know.
That takes you have to take a step back. And sometimes people are so busy hustling that they don't want to take the step back.
And and a lot of the times there's a lack of empathy because they are projecting previous situations on that situation. So it's like, if I'm empathetic with this person right now and I'm going to take my time to teach them or, you know, to let my guard down, they might do what the last person did, which is completely fuck with my time and my energy and my emotions. And I don't want that. So a lot of the time you see people just put up walls all around them. Yeah. And it's very robotic. It's like, this is just the way I'm going to be. I'm not going to think about what you're thinking about. I'm not going to be empathetic. And I understand it. I mean, I tend to be like that sometimes too, but it's very important to not let sour moments change the essence of who you are and why people believe in you and give you opportunities in the first place, because otherwise you just become another person and maybe people don't want that other person. They wanted you.
Right.
You know?
And the reason why I was looking at Viviana is because in the same way that I've had moments where I'm teaching her, she has taught me. So there will have been a moment that I'm like, I don't know, frustrated or whatever I am, not happy about something that's happening. And she will turn around and say something from her point of view because we're very, very different. And that's exactly what I needed. Yeah. Because I don't think like her. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Where most of the time it's me doing it. It doesn't mean that I'm the only one that can do it. Yeah. She will do it at select times, and it will have the same effect. So I think having that type of partnership and trust with people that you work with or people in life, doesn't have to be your coworkers, is, that will also help build the culture within your life to be a positive one, because you're giving yourself permission to help others and then opening the door for them to help you, and you're cool with it, which I don't think, I don't know why that's not the norm. I would love to sit here and say that is the freaking norm, and it's amazing.
It's a betrayal.
Yeah.
Betrayal fucks people up, and they just, I don't know, maybe this person's like the last one. Like, I get it, but we got to grow past that.
It's hard. I read this. I don't know if you're into reading.
Hell yeah.
I'm a bookworm, but it's called It Didn't Start With You. And it goes into the whole thing that we're talking about, like healing and generational trauma and all this stuff. And I was reading, like, I don't know, chapter 1 or 2. I haven't finished it, but it like blew my mind, because speaking what you said about talking to others in the younger generation and stuff, they were saying in the book, and again, I don't fact check, but how when you're in your mother's womb, whatever she experienced, you're ultimately being affected by it.
Your nervous
already.
system. Yeah.
Like already in the womb. And she or the author said, like, it goes back 3 generations actually.
Yep.
So your grandma, your mom, and you are all already impacted by it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's why I was also like, what I was saying about kids, I'm like, well, I have like no power. Like, they're already screwed when they come out. I don't know. Like, how do you fix that? So, but yeah, I just think it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Do what you love.
The Surrender Experiment is a great book. You should look into it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's a little bit about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like reading. I read a lot about music, marketing, sales, but I also read about like the emotional intelligence side, body language, all that type of stuff is very key for me. Like,
I'm big on TED Talks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever see? There's a whole one on body language. Is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff is key.
Yeah.
Like, look at people's facial expressions, their hand movements, their feet. Like, everything tells a story. And once you know it, you can't unknow it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's really interesting to also look at people. Like, I remember we took a group photo. I did this like women empowerment symposium in Spain with 9 other girls. It was 10 of us, right? And so we wanted to like put it on socials, like whatever. And we created this photo, and we were all from different countries, different heights. Like, none of us looked like from the same place, and that was the whole point of taking the photo. But we all did like the power woman pose, and then we did the one crossing our arms. And it was interesting because when we showed somebody, they're like, "Oh, you guys look like you're the B word." I'm not gonna swear, but and I was
on
like,
the crossed arms one.
Yeah,
because this one is a completely different feeling. This one's blocking
but
yourself off, protecting your. To some people,
that's
when
what
you're
it's
you're
really
crossing,
interesting. Emotional intelligence is really interesting to see how you're gonna be perceived, because for us it was just like a power pose, right?
That's what I thought.
To others, it's insecure. To others, it's insecurity, or you come off as an asshole. Maybe like it just depends on perspective. Yeah.
I was like, what the heck are you talking about? But anyways, it's important to also think about that stuff, especially marketing. When marketing, you kind of have to like think about all the things that can go wrong, more so than the things that are going to go right.
Because they will always be your fault.
Yeah.
Because you're marketing.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
All the fires.
Everything's your fault.
I work with PR all the time. I'm like, please let it not be a fire.
We joke about it. We say that we're marketers, but we're
professional firefighters.
Yeah.
So speaking of putting out fires or keeping things lit, we were talking before, you are used to running a ton of accounts, like at the same time for multiple artists, for multiple projects. Can you dive a little bit into that and like how that experience was?
We like to call her Vivi Queen.
Vivi Queen?
She's a queen in social media.
I did not want this to go. Okay.
It's out.
Nobody knew it was a secret. But anyways, it's out.
She's going to kill me after.
We could beep it out.
No.
Ooh, beep it out. Beep it out.
No. Okay. Anyways, it was very challenging because I was a one-man band. I mean, I wasn't alone in the actual department, but I was the only person doing social media at the time. So I would manage over 50 accounts. And that was a
daily. Stories, posts, captions,
multiple
hashtags.
posts a day. She has a whole social media guidelines, which is gold, but basically per platform.
Yes.
Create a curriculum out of that.
My social media Bible.
Yeah.
I call it the Bible. I'm not religious. I should change it to another.
Don't tell your mom.
Playbook. You call it play. I call mine a playbook.
Oh, yeah?
For my businesses, I create like a Bible, like how everything runs, how everything should be, the guidelines. Call it playbook.
Okay.
Operations playbook. I call
Cool.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to
It's
work
kinda
on.
like sports.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
But it was very challenging because, as we know, the artists are very different and their goals are different. The fans are totally different. So my day used to start with looking at socials. Literally, I would open my eyes and I would read through, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, especially Snapchat even. I would look at everything and sort of say, okay, this is what we have so far. Then I would get to work and I would look at all the performance or insights. So I get to see, okay, this is working, this is not. But like I spoke before, a lot of it, I would kind of say, okay, it's working or it's not, but I would take the opportunity to learn, but unlearn.
Yeah.
So everything that we did, it was ultimately great. I'm very big on being social on social media. That's kind of my thing. But I think it's very important to, when working on socials, to kind of put yourself in the position of a fan or a consumer. So I would try to take my time to, answer messages every single day, every single hour that I could.
Yeah.
And just to keep the conversation going. I see a lot of brands that, are have great social media, but I see that their fans are kind of talking to themselves or whatnot. So I kind of put myself in that position and say, I don't want to talk to myself. Like, so I don't know. I don't want it to be discouraging.
She would educate people.
Right.
I can't pronounce the word, but on exactly that what she just said, being social on social media. And because a lot of times, sometimes we would be working with an up and coming, right? And they're like, well, how can I get more people to be engaged or whatever? And she's like, actually respond to the comments.
Talk to them. Don't
right?
respond with a fire symbol, like or whatever.
Right.
Just like
But
brand
it's-
voice conversation.
Right,
What's up?
right.
And I think it's very cool that I got the opportunity to give life to a social media account or various, right? But it was very cool. A lot of people would come to me and say, you gave that brand a personality. And what that was somebody that was laid back, just like a friend. You would talk to somebody very chill and be like, hey, asking a question. I would respond back. We would make jokes. So it kind of, we were fostering that kind of culture where you can feel comfortable to reach out to me and a real person is going to be responding, not an actual bot. So
I got that impression when I saw you working on accounts.
Oh,
And
yeah?
Yeah, because when I engaged, it was always like instant, like
Oh, yeah.
I saw that, so I'm witness to that. That's pretty cool.
I will say the thing that was awesome too, and this is something that I was marketing, and there's a team, and Viviana is the social media queen. I will not use the other word.
you already
again.
said it.
VV Queen.
Vivi Queen.
Okay. Anyways, but I was gonna say one of the things that as someone that's in marketing is the voice, and she knew the voice for every single account, and they were all different. And nobody on the outside could tell that it was just a one-woman show behind the
I
scenes.
just found out right now.
Yeah,
Because
so that's how you're
thought,
doing a good job.
I thought it was just a handful or just
Nope.
just a few. And then when you guys told me that, I was like, holy shit.
Good
I have a
job.
hard time with like a few of them myself that I run outside of what my team helps me with, and I'm like, damn, that shit's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work to maintain the public image on social media of any brand.
But
any brand.
I tell her now we're at a different brand, right? And there's less accounts or whatever it may be. But because she got so, and I'll let her talk for herself, but because she got so good at developing a voice, now she can do it like this. And I think that's part of learning is that when you're going through like whatever challenging situations, maybe it's too many accounts or maybe it's just one, whatever it may be. That happened to me at the nonprofit. Nonprofits don't have a big budget. So I was also a one-woman show. I got really good at copywriting because I would have to write everything, right? And I would have to do it fast. I was not a bot.
no chat GPT.
yeah. But all the skill sets that she has now, she has this Bible, all this stuff. I mean, I talk about hustle. That's it.
Should publish a book. I published a book recently, and I have a second
Get
one
a
coming
book.
out. I haven't advertised it yet, so it's gonna be new. Nobody's ever heard of this.
Okay.
You got to leave a little bit of a legacy behind. You've done some great work. Other people could learn from what you've created.
I mean, I should start by actually getting to the habit of reading. I'm not much of a reader. You mentioned Clubhouse. I used to love Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I was seriously into that. But yeah, I think that's a goal for 2023.
Just 10 pages a day, 15, even 10. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Incremental growth.
Slow and steady.
You know what book you could start with? Atomic Habits. Look up that book.
Ooh,
It's
I've heard of that
a
one.
great book. It'll change your life. Yeah.
I have to stop buying books because I love books.
But you don't finish them?
But I don't start reading them because I still have such a long list.
But at least you know that they're there.
But they're there.
And you don't forget.
Exactly.
Oh, eventually you'll get to them.
He understands me.
Yeah. You got a little library going.
My fiance makes fun of me. He sends me a meme of like somebody that just buys books to buy them.
Like
And
hoarding
I'm
books?
Thanks.
It's okay. You'll get to them.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is sometimes too when I'm working, especially in copywriting, I'll go open books and I'll go to a chapter and I'll reference back to books. So it's not just reading it that initial time. It's actually going back to it because it's a tool for you to go back to.
Oh yeah. No, I have a whole library for sure. And some of them I have to still read, but that's okay.
Yeah. In 2023.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, this is Hustle Inspires Hustle podcast. We have Viviana here, Stephanie here. I've been wanting to have you guys on here for some time. I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to come out here. I know you guys are both very busy. You guys have a lot of stuff going on, but I respect the work you both do. Ever since we met at different times, but I really like your guys' energy, your vibe, and I really like the work that you guys did, and I think more people should know about it. So why don't you guys share some of your socials or where people could find you? That way they could connect. Maybe they bring some value or, bring some opportunities.
Hit me up, Instagram, Vivs Venero, VIVSVENERO. Hey.
Ooh, mine's hard. But Instagram is also good. LinkedIn also. LinkedIn, Stephanie Hernandez. You can go by Frosty Music, which is my current role. And also Instagram, Stephanie.So I.
All right.
Yeah.
If you couldn't figure out how to spell either of those, just go on whatever streaming platform you're on, go on the show notes. I'm going to link their social medias. Also on hustleinspireshustle.com/podcast, you'll find the episode page where you'll find their social medias, the show notes, links to some of the things that we talked about. And hopefully we could have them back on the show soon. Thank you guys. See you on the next episode.